10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody. My name is Aaron Armstrong. I'm the SEL specialist for the elementary schools in the North. For this segment, we're going to cover some support activities and some tidbits about how to support your students or your children at home from an SEL standpoint, or with some SEL practices and activities. This was created with the SEL team, which is my team, and the family involvement team. We work together also as a department, the SEL, Social Emotional Learning Department, along with the trauma teams and the behavior specialist team, and the restorative practice teams as well. We work collaboratively to support your students or your kids by supporting teachers and schools for a variety of different things that help boost student success, not just for the months to come, or it's actually for years to come. We're talking about a long-term process. As we all know, your child will have a birthday soon, and the year after that, they're going to have a birthday, and they're going to continue to grow. And so it's important that we continue to cultivate the whole child. And as a district, we've worked to present not just or facilitate not just academic knowledge, but also social emotional learning opportunities for students so that they're growing on all levels. So let's talk about social emotional learning. That's what this segment is going to cover, and also some strategies on how you all can be intentional in capturing practice for social emotional learning. So let's get into this next slide. I'm going to read the definition, but as I read it, just kind of listen and if you want. But what I'd like you to do is just pay attention to the words. And, as you hear me read, think about the words or phrases that stand out to you as probably the most important to you. All right, what is SEL? I'm glad you asked. Social emotional learning, SEL, is a process through which children and adults learn to recognize and manage emotions, demonstrate care and concern for others, develop positive relationships, make good decisions, and behave ethically, respectfully, and responsibly. So think about those words. Think about which ones reside with you. When I first read that definition, I think one of the first things that stood out for me is process, and also children and adults, meaning I'm not exempt, and as adults, we're not exempt. And so it was an opportunity for not just kids to learn, but for me as well. Also, too, process. We're talking about a process, practices, things repetitiously that we can build on. And so here are 5 competencies that the practice of social emotional learning kind of filters through, or works to give practice for. Self-awareness, social awareness, responsible decision making, self-management, and relationship skills. So if you look at these 5, let me just run through self-awareness real quick. Self-awareness, the ability to understand who you are, what you're feeling, what you're thinking. Understanding your goals, your strengths, and your weaknesses. Understanding some of the things that you feel. And then when you get a chance when you really understand what's going on inside of you, that's the awareness. And then when you're taking it to the management piece, the self-management, that's an extension of the self-awareness. And so self-management is being able to control your impulses, being able to understand timelines, being able to know that there's consequences for if I'm going to eat a bunch of cake tonight. I know there's consequences, and so I'm only going to eat one piece. And so that's self-management. Social awareness. Social awareness is being able to take perspectives of and understand the perspectives of others or appreciate diversity. Um, it's about creating empathy or having empathy. It's about understanding that when you walk into a room where you fit. Relationship skills was very related. It's about communication with with individuals, and it's about social engagement and building, maintaining, and sometimes repairing relationships. Responsible decision making. This is something that we do all throughout all the other four. We're always making decisions, or at least thinking about making decisions. We're solving problems. We're evaluating. We're reflecting on who we are, what our ethics and where we come from. Um, we do a lot of decision making through the other four, and so those uh, complete the five competencies of SEL. And so now I just kind of want to take you through some ways you can capture practice for your youth at home with social emotional learning. So for self-awareness skills, take some time to connect with your child in meaningful ways. For me, what that really means is participate. Some of the activities that you might want to try if you don't already do it. Practice active listening by validating your child's feelings and emotions, their fears and concerns. Validating helps or will help children feel normal. It will help them feel like they're okay to have those feelings. And when you're able to help them explore their feelings through validating, they're able to understand more about what's happening within inside, and they start develop they develop more vocabulary and a trust for communicating those feelings. I guess one more of these for creating self-awareness, I'd say they're all very important, but I don't want to read to you all of them. I'd say give them opportunities in conversation to identify, name, and talk about their feelings. Again, it's about opportunities. And if you're creating an open door policy for conversation, you're creating a culture of conversation and expression. And so that'll further your relationship, in fact, which is actually one of the five competencies that we'll talk about a little bit later. So that's self-awareness, or activities for building self-awareness. For building self-management, so we go from teaching or facilitating practice for self-awareness. They're understanding how they're feeling. They're having practice for what they're thinking and what their opinions and what their favorite things are and those kinds of things. And so now we're going to take it a step further with practice with self-management skills, right? One of my favorite new practices for self-management skills is mindfulness. Mindfulness is paying attention with a sense of curiosity um, and kindness, being purposeful about it in the present moment. And when we're able to do mindfulness practices, or when our youth, when your kids are able to do mindfulness practices or have a mindfulness practice, they're going to be able to catch themselves and understand more about who they are because of a practice that allows them the awareness or teaches them the awareness of self, and also too teaches the awareness of the things that are around them. And mindfulness, the mindfulness activities, is something that is something really good to look into. Some other activities include, in terms of management, drawing, doodling, reading, exercising, and breathing exercises are great calming techniques. the important thing right here, when you're teaching these, connect them to self-management. So, hey, for instance, myself, when I get a little upset with anxiety, or sometimes I don't know how I'm feeling, I just need a timeout or something, I do draw or doodle. And that's what I connected to. And that's what I've connected it to for years. That's now my management skill. When I feel stressed, I have a go-to. And so when you're intentional about making those connections, you're helping students build a skill for the self-management. I'll run through one of these tips on the side here. One of the ones. Let me see. Support your child and recognizing. Oh, they really are good. Support your child in recognizing emotions and coping strategies. And so, if you notice, and as the guardians of your guy, of your children, their temperaments. And so support your child in recognizing the emotions. And what that looks like is, if you're teaching them that drawing helps to calm their anxiety, and you notice uh, uh, they were getting anxious, and suddenly they pushed away from the computer, picked up a pen and paper, and just started doing some doodling, or start drawing pictures. Ask them questions about that to help them make the connections and be proud of themselves for the effort that they were making to manage themselves, and let them know that they're like, this is the right thing to do. That's awesome. Yes, go ahead and let them acknowledge their what they're doing. And so I guess one more. Let's see, one more. Mm, Regularly check in with your child to see how they're feeling, especially now during COVID-19, and the weirdness in our schedules with no school right now, and just how things have been thrown off. It's important to check in with them, because they don't always know how to express themselves, or they don't know always when the appropriate time is to express themselves. And if you're asking genuinely for how they're feeling, you give them a chance to express, and you give them a chance again to be comfortable with having conversations. And so that's self-management skills. Social awareness. This is going to be really important too during this weird time when school's just kind of upside down. Some of the activities for creating social awareness. Allow your child to act out some dramatic plays. Do some role plays about what friendship is. So, um, say you and a friend were walking down the street, and two other friends were walking on the other side of the street, or one friend was walking on the other side of the street. And you kind of knew him. Would you invite him over, or what would you do? Maybe he's a new student. Create a scenario, have him act it out, ask him some questions. Ask them questions about what friendship is. Um, Another little tidbit for creating social awareness: talk to your children about your adventures through friendship. They're always watching you. They're always learning from you, and you are their model. And so your experiences matter to them as well. Let me see. Oh, also to cultivate opportunities for them to stay social with their friends, create other social avenues so that they have the practice for being social. Listen, this relationship building skills is almost kind of an extension, or maybe I don't know, but it's a connection to the social awareness for sure. Relationship building is very important right now too, more than ever, because we're isolated with the social distancing. And so some activities to try with your youth are, engage them in creative play, and maybe it's cooking, maybe it's working with a puzzle or an art project. But the thing about that is you're creating moments. And when you're having moments, you can be intentional about those moments. And those moments, or those intentional moments, are relationship building moments. You're learning about your child, they're learning a little more about you. Um, and things are kind of easy through play. And so that's a relationship building strategy. But also, too, during that time, you're going to have some teachable moments about building relationships. I guess one more. Oh, let me see. Talk about how to make friends and how to keep friends. I think I covered that one in the social awareness. But model and reinforce the importance of assuming the best intentions of others, which means just have them start paying attention and you pay attention. And together, explore some of the things that you understand with relationships and your social surroundings. So that's relationship building skills. The fifth one, last but not least, responsible decision making. Mm. I had kind of an epiphany that anything we do in any moment of our day, in every day of our lives, we are making decisions through those other four competencies. And so that's why the practice for decision making is so important. What does practice for decision making look like? It looks like giving them choices. Maybe it's give them a choice of homework time, or give them a choice of, well, what kind of homework do you want to do today? Or maybe you want to introduce them to something new and let them choose something new. Give them some fun practice and take them to the ice cream parlor and have them choose from 31 flavors over at Baskin and Robbins. But give them some opportunities to make choices and help them explore the choices. Help them explore why they chose those things. Help them in the process of choosing and making decisions. Um, and you can do that by doing the second one. You can challenge your youth, your kids, by leading them with reflective questions that may spark some more thought on the decision making process. And that's what you wanting them to do, is just think about their process. Think about and practice their process. That's going to complete some of the. Well, that's going to complete our segment today for social emotional learning at home and support at home. I want to thank you all for being here and working with us to help this happen. We understand that academics is so important, but also it's so important that we're cultivating practice for those five competencies: self-awareness, responsible decision-making, relationship building skills, social awareness, and the self-awareness. Those five competencies are about performing as many practice or as many facilitating as many practices or opportunities to have practice, because the old saying goes, practice makes perfect. Not really. Practice makes you better. And the more practice we have, the better we're going to be. And that's what this is all about for our kids. Thank you all for being here once again. I'm Aaron Armstrong, representative of the SEL, Social Emotional Learning Department with Metro National Public Schools. Thank you.